Hey guys, Bittersteel here, back with another video. And today we are capping off our journey of achievement hunting in Hearts of Iron 4 Battle for the Bosporus with the big one. Let's go. Yes, today we will return to Turkey, and as Turkey we will go for hardly anything Sèvres. One of the harder achievements in the game in my honest opinion. I've already done this one on stream, but I figured I'd turn it into a bit of a guide that's not just 18 hours of me looking at a screen and suffering. So let me save you the time and put together bit of a guide for you. Now before we hop in, what does hardly anything Sèvres require? Well, we have to restore the Ottoman Sultanate, not that difficult, but we also have to occupy London, Paris, Rome, and Tokyo. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. Let's go. We'll leave Iron Man mode on, obviously, and historical AI focuses on, because I'd like at least some predictability in this game. Let's go. But first, if you like these videos, leave a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload more content. Also, hit me up in the comments with your questions and your suggestions. Always looking for some good things to do in the future. Don't forget, check out our Discord server. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. It's a pretty cool place to hang out and talk with the community. Now, on to the video. Turkey, 1936. Let's get to work. We have much work ahead of us. We'll start with the army and get rid of the entire military. We don't need them. Then we can go into our occupied territories, set resistance local police force, and specifically for Kurdistan, secret police. We have to keep these boys under control. They are rowdy. Then into recruit and deploy, set garrisons to high. That way we'll be able to supply them at least. Next up, construction. We will be doing something funky. We are going to build dockyards. 2 in Bursa, 4 in Izmir, 1 in Antalya, and 1 in Izmit. So that should be enough. 8 dockyards. Why do we need that many dockyards? Well, several of our enemies are across an ocean, so we have to find ways to get there. Hence the dockyards. Production. Alright, 1 on infantry equipment, that's fine. We'll put 1 on air, but make some close air support. Cass is really great for fighting those early game weaker enemies who don't have air forces of their own, and we'll round it out with support equipment and towed artillery. So yeah, Turkish industry, not that impressive. Not that impressive at all, but we have to start somewhere. And we'll finish up with dockyards. With about 30 convoys, that should land us at 50. Great, and we'll follow that up with submarines, but the ones we can make are pretty terrible. So what I'm going to do is exercise the Navy until we have 9 naval experience. So let's get the Navy out there exercising. Research, nothing fancy here. We'll start with the basics of electronic engineering, production, and construction. Whoops. Now for your research, I will not constantly be calling out what you need to be doing. I'll give you a heads up when there's important research coming up, so you know that it's not something you should be forgetting about or if it's vital to the strategy. But the overall gameplay is always the same. Keep your industry up to date, keep your engineering up to date, and then focus everything else on what you need at the time. So infantry equipment, doctrines, that sort of stuff, you have to keep that up to date for yourself, not gonna be holding your hand through this. Now personally, in this playthrough, I will be playing Turkey with tanks. If you don't feel up to it, just play this with infantry. So whenever I assign a bunch of factories to tanks, you just distribute those across your infantry equipment, artillery, and support equipment. You'll need it. Trust me, you'll take a lot of losses. But I will be playing tanks. I love the micro involved, but I understand it's not for everyone, so if you want to play this with infantry equipment, that's fine. Besides, there's also a guide out by Spaniard who does this exact thing with infantry, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. And once again, Spaniard, thank you for your great work. Anyway, focuses. Let's start with the Montreux Convention, and that is pretty much it. One more thing, we will be creating an intelligence agency right off the bat. We have need of this. And that's our basic setup done. Let's roll. Alright, there we go. Naval experience is in. Let's just dock the Navy and start pumping out submarines. The good ones, or at least the not terrible ones. These will help get us across the sea. Alright, agency is created, and I like to focus first on cryptology, so I will be getting the cryptology department, 2 upgrades in radio interception group. After that, we'll see which way I go, but it's probably going to involve infiltration and blueprint stealing, because I'm going to be stealing other people's work. Why do all the hard work ourselves, right? Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm not trading for resources just yet, is because I don't really need to. I know that we're making stuff at a reduced efficiency, but it's not that big of a deal. I'd rather have a few more factories building stuff. Oh, little word of advice. Turn this off whenever you can. Kurdish state management. Turn it off before this bar disappears, or you'll constantly have this pop up here. It's bugged, it's annoying. Just make it go away, and I'll just be ignoring everything else as well. Most of that stuff's not that important anyway. Alright, cryptology department, radio interception group, our first spy. If we're looking for spies, always prioritize seducers. If you can't find any seducers, commandos aren't terrible, and preferably if you got any somewhere, get safecrackers. They're really good for stealing blueprints. Anyway, for now, I'll just set this guy to root out resistance in Kurdistan. Let's get to work, and I'll start by cracking the Greek cipher. Alright, here goes the event. Rhineland, blah blah blah, Montreux Convention. Excellent. It's always the same thing. The UK will lend its support, then the Soviets will get uppity. Don't worry about it. So, let's move on. Fully integrate the Ishbank. Okay, there we go. Soviet Union opposes us. No settlements, no compromise. And then move in. The British abandon us, obviously. Nothing has changed. We must stay the course. And there we go. Soviet Union backs down. They always back down on historical, so don't worry about it. Great. And we have a bunch of political power. Let's spend it. Thanks to our dear friend Mustafa Kemal. Everything is much, much cheaper. Let's make use of that. And we'll get the silent workhorse as a first pick. And with everything being ridiculously cheap, we'll get the financial expert next. 5% consumer goods is great, and like I said, Mustafa Kemal makes this really cheap. Alrighty, we have 15 command power. You know what this means. That's right, it's time for the Kurdish lottery. Let's check these areas out. So yeah, they're all quite rowdy. Let's start handling them. As in most cases, this is an annoying bit of lottery. Not much else to do here, but keep clicking until all the debuffs are at the lowest level and the events pretty much stop. Word of warning, if stability tanks too much, it's going to be very, very difficult to recover, and it might be better to just restart. But if you want to suffer through it, I'm not gonna stop you. Be my guest. Anyway, here goes our lottery. Before we move on, I want to quickly apologize. This section of the video, from this point onwards until the Civil War is concluded, had to be re-recorded, so not everything is going to line up exactly with the rest of the video. That said, it shouldn't make any difference for your playthrough as long as you stick to the required research and follow the steps laid out. The strategy can stand up to a bit of RNG. Alright, that said, let's move on to the Kurdish lottery. Let's go. Oh, and after the Ishbank is fully integrated, we will ratify the 6 arrows.
Eventually.
Alright, that's all 4 of these territories down to separatist fatigue. Got a nice amount of political power out of it, and our stability is still standing strong. Alright, moving on. I always take improved worker conditions at this point. Why? Well, it's easy, because I like stability. Stability needs to be above 50% while at war to prevent horrible debuffs. And since we're actually in a really good place for stability, plus we have a nice amount of political power, I like to take these scientist decisions. That's 200 political power for what is essentially 10% research speed for 10% stability. We have the stability, we can still fix this problem, so we can move on. If your stability is lower, and I'd say if taking these decisions dip you down to below 50% on its own, I recommend not taking these, or maybe just taking the one if you think you can get away with it. It's nice to have, but it's not required. As for research, time for the industry. Concentrated works just fine. I like dispersed for many reasons, so dispersed it is for me. Now, as for the rest of our political power, we are going to be holding on to it for quite some time. Yes, we'll spend some of it, but we have to have a stockpile. We have decisions ahead of us. Now that the Kurds are dealt with, we can lower the occupation law to standard local police force until a better law pops up, and we can start using those guns for the military again. And we'll train 2 runs of 12 divisions, just put them on Ankara. Doesn't really matter where you park them. Put their equipment priority on high and reinforcements on medium, because we do want all 24 units deployed before we do anything else. For your espionage agency, we have Radio Interception Group. The things I always research are the unfortunately named pills, invisible ink, and blueprint stealing. Of course, also get the economy or civilian integration infiltration thing here. That will allow you to start stealing blueprints like there's no tomorrow, which is pretty cool. Also going to start trading for resources now. It doesn't matter that much. I mostly start trading for steel and aluminum first. The lack of one rubber and one tungsten doesn't make a huge impact on our production overall, especially like towed artillery. The way I built my units, I don't need as much artillery. If you're going for the infantry game, where you need a lot of artillery for your 14-4s, yes, I would buy this tungsten. Also at this point, you'll notice that all of your industry research is ahead of time, as is your engineering, except for the radios. But this is an excellent opportunity to choose our land doctrine. Again, if you're playing the infantry game, like most of you will, I recommend superior firepower. It is the bread and butter of single player. It's just really, really good. Me, personally, I said tank turkey. I will stick with tank turkey mobile warfare. With the 6 arrows ratified, we have access to a few new decisions here under law number 3115. They're pretty bad for now. They will change their effects as our political party changes. But the really good one is up here, republicanism. Weekly stability for 25. Political power, that's a no-brainer. And as for focuses, we will continue on to the Treaty of Salabat. The reason I take this one first is because it gives us 5% war support, which is going to bump us above 25%, which means we can get a better mobilization law. Partial mobilization really early, which is nice. Plus, favorable trade relations with Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan. We'll exploit that in the rest of the video. With our second spy on the way, I like to deploy my other spies now. I'm going to start pumping all of my spies into Japan to steal their research whenever I can, their industrial blueprints. The reason I picked Japan is twofold. One, we will be fighting Japan anyway, because we need to get our hands on Tokyo. And two, Japan tends to not really focus on anti-espionage, making them a little easier to steal stuff from. If I would try it the same with the UK or Germany, they tend to build up an extensive anti-espionage network. Now, we do have a lot of political power. I'm going to make a quick little pick here and pick a tank designer. Doesn't matter for your run if you're going with the infantry. I just like getting this tank designer early so it can boost all of my tank research, 15%, and, well, it makes my tanks even quicker, which is something I really like. Alright, Salabat Pact. On historical, all three nations will always say yes. Great. We are now also with 26% war support, which means partial mobilization. That is going to help our construction quite a bit. Next focus, the Sanaisiler, that one. Oh, and as for your spies, always try to pick seducers. They're really great. First batch of units is ready. We'll just set them on Ankara, start training. I'll assign them to Field Marshal as well. The standard Field Marshal here sticks with us through most of the game, and he has some really good traits. Especially Logistics Wizard is awesome for Field Marshal. As for a General, it doesn't really matter. Most of these will leave you anyway. Abdurrahman here sticks around. He's not bad, but once the Ottoman Loyalists return, you'll have access to even better generals. Alright, Sanaisiler is done. Time to cooperate with the Debt Council. Not only that, but having finished that focus that I can't pronounce properly, we now have access to industrial projects. In exchange for 50 political power and 180 days of reduced PP gain, we get a civilian factory, some grant us a military factory, and the one down here, the Iron Steel Factory, also gives us a civilian factory, but for steel. That's a no-brainer. I'm gonna pick that one. I usually try to click one of these every time I can, as long as I don't need that political power for anything more important. This is a really good way of getting Turkey's industry going. Alright, as for research, you can see the industry is still ahead of time. You could just hop ahead and you know, eat this penalty. It's not that big. It's actually what I'd recommend you do in your game, but like I said, Tank Turkey is a little different. I'll start researching my light tanks so I can get to my mediums earlier. Your game, you can go ahead on time on that industry research. Alright, cooperation with the Debt Council is done, so you can see this is a little less terrible. Plus, we now have access to this decision, absorb the TPDA, which leads into this decision, pay off our debts. You can see that's costing us a lot of political power, but the effects are really good because bada bing bada boom, industrial concern is free and will straight up hire. Camille toll on the inventive genius for a little extra political power, we can use some, and electronics research speed, not bad. And just like that, our vast mountain of PP is gone. As for national focuses, we will not utilize foreign capital just yet. I know, research slot, very interesting, but we have other priorities. Next up, we will privatize the Anadolu agency and then lift the ban on other political parties. The reason we're doing this is because the focus here, hold our first multi-party election, is locked behind an event chain that starts as soon as you finish lift the ban. And we need a little time for the events to finish before we can move on, so that's why I'm keeping this focus, utilize foreign capital, available to do in the meantime. Speed is of the essence. Alright, with our first doctrine research done, it's a little too early to continue these, so I recommend you finish up in the industry branch. Once everything in 1937 tech is done, that's a good time to dedicate one slot to land doctrine, to continuously research land doctrine, and a second slot to continuously research trade interdiction. So starting off at the top all the way down to the bottom right, the submarine tree. This will give our submarines a fighting chance in the wars to come. So you'll be dedicating 2 of these slots to researching doctrines, and the other 2 are free to use as you want. Trust me, you're gonna like those doctrines. It will make all the difference. Alright, we've lifted the ban on other political parties. As you can see, we cannot continue yet to the multi-party elections, so utilize foreign capital and we'll wait for the event chain to kick off. Meanwhile, keep clicking the Republicanism button as often as you can. It's a really great way of boosting your stability. And this signals the event chain. Just keep clicking through these decisions. Whenever you're confronted with these decisions, I like to pick the ones that give me extra base stability. That sticks with us in case we change ideologies again. The other one that boosts party popularity and costs political power, or that would have negative effects, I tend to avoid. So I just pick whatever boosts stability. I am a simple man. Another event that can pop up around this time, maybe later, maybe sooner, is this one. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk takes ill, a race against time. This unlocks the Fading Father decisions. There will be a timer here for 90 days in which Atatürk keeps getting more and more sick, and you can seek treatment to postpone the inevitable. You're not going to do that. We are looking to replace him with the Sultan anyway, but you can extend the life of Mustafa Kemal this way. Though it's not supposed to keep him alive, he will eventually perish. The second option allows us to retire Atatürk early, and when we do that, our Prime Minister will take control of the country and Atatürk will be removed and placed here as a national spirit, still giving us minor buffs. It's nice. But the most important part there is that will allow us to assess our future. And we want this one soon as we can. Why? Well, look at the effect. It will give us the national spirit, the legacy of Atatürk, which gives us a bunch of bonuses. If we take this one before we hold our first multi-party elections, the bonuses remain in place. However, if we finish our first multi-party elections and then move on to assess our future, the effect of this thing will change and they will become a negative modifier. So for all intents and purposes, if you have the opportunity to retire Atatürk before you have your elections, please do so and take this focus. If you don't, it's not the end of the world, but it is going to hurt you a little in the long run.
A few moments later.
Okay, it's early 37 and we're starting to work through this research for industry. Time to sidestep a little and move on to the doctrines. I'm going to dedicate one slot to trade interdiction and the second slot will be dedicated to land doctrine as you choose. And remember, trade interdiction, boost your submarines, the right hand path here. Okay, utilize foreign capital is done. Gives us another research slot. And that means we can move on. We cannot assess our future just yet. No, we first need to retire Atatürk. We will retire Atatürk and our Prime Minister has moved to take control of the country. And bada bing, bada boom, he's gone here, which frees up another advisor slot. Let's go ahead and hire, where is he? This man, the elusive gentleman, for an extra spy. Great. Now, for our focuses, we will assess our future first and then move on to hold our first multi-party elections. If by this time you haven't gotten the event where Atatürk falls ill, you can start our first multi-party election, and if within the first 10 days you get the event, you can still switch out to assess our future without losing anything. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and you'll just have to roll with the punches. It is what it is. We've also gotten access to a few new decisions here. In economic policy, we can get investments done by foreign powers. Yeah, except this is incredibly broken and doesn't work half the time. Usually the AI doesn't even respond. Then when they respond and they say, we'll build factories for you, they won't actually build those factories. And then when they actually do build those factories, you still have the chance that they'll build those factories in one of your Kurdish states, and you still won't have access to those factories. So I wouldn't do these. I'll experiment with them. I'll maybe do one, since we will be boosting relations with the UK at anyway. So I wouldn't recommend you do these. And with 2 research slots working on doctrines, the other slots are available to start boosting your infantry or your armed forces at this point. I'm going to go with radio and then probably infantry equipment and artillery. Just make sure that you get the industry up to snuff first. You'll need a lot of help to get this weak Turkish industry to get anything done. All right, assess our futures done. We'll look into that in a second. We now also have all 3 of our spies, so we'll dedicate them completely to Japan and continuously steal industrial blueprints. We should be able to get a good bunch of bonuses from Japan that way. With our future assessed and that modifier in the bank, it's time to hold our first multi-party election. And again, you'll notice that I'm spending a lot of time on tanks. These mediums are over a year ahead of time. It's fine. This is just for my run. If you're going with infantry, just dedicate this to improving the infantry or the artillery. Maybe even get some support companies. Me, I'm a little weird. All right, Greek cipher is done. So I'm just going to continuously start cracking ciphers of our targets. So the Greeks are first, Yugoslavia's next. After that, it's probably going to be Japan, followed by the UK. You get the gist. Start deciphering whatever future enemy you can come up with. All right, the big day, election day. Very important here that you select the Democrat Party. If you pick the Republicans, you get locked out of being able to get Ottomans back. So, Democrats it is. Now we will continue. We'll take the HoI4 issue and then peace in the world. Why? Well, if we take the Militin Adamu, we will piss off the Kemalists, and we want to wait with that. So, to get down to Purge the Officers as quickly as possible and having to spend as little time as we can with hostile Kemalists, we'll take these 2 focuses first and then continue this branch. Militin Adamu, permit regional elections, privatize our infrastructure, and then the Great Purge. And with Mr. Menderes in charge, it's a little cheaper to improve our relations with the UK, so let's start boosting relations there. Might as well boost relations with the Chinese as well, since they are going to have a fight there, and I want to send an attaché. Alas, so passes a great titan of his age, the death of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. Rest easy, Ghazi. She'll never forget you.
12 seconds later.
And apparently the man is such a Chad that he died twice. Rest easy this time, Ghazi. And of course, on historical, France will always give HoI4 back. Very cool, thank you. Oh, and since we are boosting relations with the UK anyway, I'm going to give this a try. Where is it? Discuss investment possibilities with the United Kingdom. Let's see if they want to build a military factory for us. Oh, and don't forget to ask for docking rights. We need docking rights from the UK to have access to Hong Kong. And that's an excellent way of getting to Japan in the future, because we do want that Tokyo. Alright, Japan declares war on China, and we have just finished peace in the world. Yeah, there's not much peace going on here. We'll send our attaché to China, start getting some army experience, very cool. Now it's time for the Militin Adami, then we'll pick regional elections, infrastructure, and purge. We're skipping expand our armaments for now. And since time is getting short before we get to the purge and the ensuing civil war, it's also important that we get all 24 of our divisions out in the field, so start force deploying these so they can exercise and get some equipment. It's also important that we hoard our political power. We need at least 300 political power available by the time the civil war starts. We need that to bump this up to war economy and our conscription law up to extensive. We need a lot of manpower. The UK is investing in Samsung. Let's see what they build. 1, 2, or 3. 2. Very nice. UK, thank you. That will come in handy. Alright, we've finished the Militin Adami and the Kemalists are now hostile to the government. So be it. Onwards. Alright, we've got all 24 of our divisions ready. Let's give them some time to train. Permit regional elections done. That eases the tensions with the traditionalists. It also makes us able to integrate these Kurdish states to a full core if their compliance is high enough and resistance is low enough. Though it still takes 200 political power to take that decision. Not a tempting offer. Alright, infrastructure is done. Time to purge the officers. It's also the good time to get the army in position. The Kemalist officers will rise up. They will rise up in Edirne, Istanbul, Bursa, Izmir, Antalya, and Trabzon. So we will deploy our army to the border of those provinces. So roughly this line, and then we'll take about 5 units off and deploy them on the border with Trabzon there. It's also probably a good idea to stop their training at this point. Yeah. We are also nearly finished with our dockyards, so we'll follow those up with a bunch of military factories, and we'll build these, well, in areas that are not going to rebel, obviously. One more fun thing I forgot to mention. Under law number 3115, the decision, named Jihad, has an extra modifier now. Not only is it going to give us 5% war support, which isn't terrible but not all that useful, it's also going to add the modifier Devout Traditionalists to select provinces, and we are going to continue clicking this decision whenever we have the political power for it, and as long as it keeps adding that modifier to states. Let's click that, and let's see, where is Mersin? Here. It adds this modifier, extra recruitable pop, and 10% construction speed. That's a pretty good deal. There we go, Purge the Officers, the Turkish Civil War. Brother fights brother in this most uncivil war. We fight. And those are the front lines, as expected. I'm gonna delete all these fallback lines. Make sure the Air Force is deployed to provide air superiority, close air support. The Navy, just get every one of your ships out of harm's way and put them somewhere safe. Don't send them out to sea, they'll just end up fighting each other and you'll damage all the hard work you've done so far. As for focuses, we cannot continue to pivot to the past yet. We need to get the Ottoman loyalists back and we need to finish the civil war first. So let's start with expand our armaments now. Let's take the speed down and go about winning this civil war. The best thing you can do is to take all the victory points on the Anatolian side of things. So clean up the coastline here and clean up Trabzon. Meanwhile, just dig in here in Izmit to prevent the enemy from pushing across. Now, if you see an opportunity here to counterattack, like when they've expended all of their organization attacking you, you can counterattack and try and take Istanbul, though usually that's not a great idea. The straight crossing penalty is pretty fierce. As for the units on this side of things, well, we are simply going to surround and destroy these divisions if we can, and quickly push towards victory points. Don't forget you need some troops on the other side of things as well, so you might need to redeploy a couple of divisions. And before you unpause and continue, very important, let's go into our mobilization laws and ramp it up to war economy and extensive conscription. This is why we hoarded that political power. It's a very good thing we can get war economy this early. Well, it's not that early, but still. Alright, with that done, lower the speed and let's see if we can't win this civil war quickly. In a few days after starting the fight, you will get this event. Ottoman officers offer chance to restore the Sultanate. Excellent. We will not take the Star Wars meme. No, our old glory awaits reclamation. And we've now changed colors once again, and the Menderes is gone and replaced by Funny Mustache Guy. So yes, this whole thing is going to require micromanagement, but all in all, it shouldn't be too difficult. You have 15 divisions. The enemy only has, what, 9 divisions? So you do outnumber them.
Later.
There, that concludes the Turkish Civil War. That is the first stage of our operations done. On to the next. Let's first replenish the losses we just took there. And we also have a lot of experience. Might as well use some of that to change our division templates. The infantry, add 1 infantry battalion to them. That brings them up to 20 combat width, and slap on some support artillery and some engineer companies. Yes, I know, we don't have all of the equipment we need. It's fine, we can still build some, but this is the basic building block of our army. These 20 width infantry units are the frontline soldiers of the Ottoman Empire now. We will be striking at the Greeks, and to that end, we need to prepare. Set up with a few naval invasions. Greece's weakness is its coastline, and our way to exploit that is by naval invading Crete, 1 division for each port and victory point, and then we will naval invade along Athens and the narrowest point of Attica, and we will push up towards the victory points here, Larissa and Agrino, with maximum speed. The rest of our divisions will be used to take the islands they have here near us. Shouldn't be too difficult. And we are also training some fresh divisions to replenish our losses from the Civil War. Let's also put our navy back together. Let's just bunch up our submarines. We'll deal with these later. And our surface fleets, let's put that together as well. And just set it to exercising. We need our surface ships to be at least capable of withstanding a hit. As far as construction goes, it's military factories all around. Just build a bunch of military factories. Early 1938, it's about time we get 1940s submarines. Yes, these are way ahead of time. I know, don't worry about it. These are great considering how many of our enemies are overseas, and this is definitely going to make it a lot easier to get to them. And with expand our armaments done, we head on and pivot to the past and continue all the way down to reclaim Greece. Our armor is done. I'm going to enjoy using that. Let's also put together an armored division. As for the template, it's nothing fancy. It is simply 13 medium tanks and 7 motorized. I don't have the army experience yet, so I'll fill this out later. Well, we have 160 political power. We just have to make sure that we keep enough, about 150, in reserve by the time we go to war with Yugoslavia, but we can spend some right now. It's probably not a bad idea to pick the army regrouping expert, or maybe the army offense expert. Let's go with army offense. Attack is the best defense. I'm also going to change my generals around. The infantry will be led by this man, Mehmet Pasha, because I can turn him into an improv expert. He has hill fighter and trickster. Very well, the divan is restored. Rebuild our nation, return of the Sultan, and then we reclaim Greece. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're sitting on quite a bit of political power. I could expand the military high command a little more, and let's get the army regrouping expert. Boy, we need a lot of guns. Anyway, the Sultan has returned, and we are now the Ottoman Sultanate. Onwards to reclaiming Greece. With Greece next up on the chopping block, let's get everybody in position. I'll need the navy on invasion support in the Aegean. I've currently got my submarines exercising, but I should be setting them to strike force in the Aegean and the Eastern Med as well, or maybe convoy raiding depending on our oil. I'll do that in a bit. Just gonna let these guys exercise a little bit more. I've also force deployed my 1 armored unit. Yes, I know it's not gonna be doing much, but I'm gonna use it to quickly strike at Thessaloniki once these naval invasions have landed. It doesn't have to do much fighting. I just want it in the field, and it looks nice and threatening there. Alright, with that, we are ready to reclaim Greece. They don't have any guarantees. There's just a Romanian one, but Romania is also guaranteeing us, so that is irrelevant. And we will simply declare. The naval invasions are off. The Air Force is in position as well over Greece, air support and close air support. And we are ready to break the Greek cipher as soon as we land to make quick gains. So let's go. Meanwhile, we are going to work on the Austro-Hungarian claim, getting ourselves a little war goal on the Yugoslavs. So we have to finish this war quickly, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. Alright, naval invasions are landing without much opposition, and the Greek army is rushing north towards Alexandroupolis. Meanwhile, I'm gonna quickly prepare additional naval invasions of Thessaloniki. Oh no, it looks like we've gotten ourselves delayed in naval combat, and that is allowing the Greeks to move troops back south. Oh no, just made it in time. Fine, it's fine. Alright, now we push up as far as we can. Take the victory points to the south. Very important to take these ports. We've also taken Crete, so that's nice. I didn't know I had this many divisions assigned here, but it's fine. And now we prepare our naval invasion on Thessaloniki. They won't know what hit them. Yeah, right. Fine. Kingdom of Greece, take all states, done, and here we go. We've got Greece capitulated with minimal effort. We'll be splitting off our infantry army. We'll take 10 units off of that and assign them to the other Pasha and plop them on the southern border with Yugoslavia, along with the armor. They can assist there. And the rest of these units are going to be preparing naval invasions on the eastern shore of Yugoslavia. We will be hitting them where they least expected. Or at least I hope they won't be expecting it. And we will redeploy our navy accordingly. They will be set to naval invasion support in the Adriatic. And we have a few more days left, so I'm gonna train up 10 fresh infantry divisions, 1 run of them, and they can go here and they can reinforce that army of 14 that will be doing the naval invading. Alright, we have our sub-3s. Let's put that research slot back to good use on land doctrine. Mobile infantry, the best infantry. Actually, no. Industry, the best industry. I've also force deployed these 10 fresh divisions I've been recruiting. There's no time to wait. I need bodies. Bodies on the line when I hit the Yugoslavs, which is going to be soon, TM. Alright, in 10 days we start the fight, so I'm going to end all of this training. Alright, time to press the Austro-Hungarian claim. But first, focuses. We could go with Align Bulgarian next. However, it's a really bad focus because there is no way to affect Bulgaria's choice. Either they say yes or they say no to being our puppet. That's already decided at the start of the game, so safes coming it won't help. And there is literally nothing you can do to affect this. It's a coin flip. Yes or no. That's it. That said, it's not vital to the strategy which side they choose, but it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm gonna ignore it for now, and instead I'm gonna pan over here and learn from the Great War. 35 days, and we will finally be able to reform our armed forces. There. Let's declare on the Yugoslavs and get this over with. Again, don't worry about Romania, they won't do anything. The naval invasions can start, and we will start a bit of maneuver warfare to the south here and push out as far as we can. And again, don't forget about the Air Force. It's very important to use the Air Force. Oh yeah, if you ever see these very large coastal garrisons in Yugoslavia, don't worry about it. It's not that the AI is expecting us. These units are also not entrenched. These units are deployed on the Italian border, but the moment we declare war, Yugoslavia panics and starts railroading all these boys south. And the quickest route appears to be along this coastline. So you might end up with a lot of troops in the area that are very low organization, but they're standing there being annoying. So don't worry about it. You can still push out relatively easily. And we're making landfall, so immediately start exploiting the gaps we find. We need to be quick on the ball here and just expand the front massively. We got a good pocket going to the south. That is a lot of Yugoslav division we've encircled here. That's going to be great when we close this. Yeah, maneuver warfare is really what you're going for here. You don't want to push a line. It's all terrible terrain, mountains, hills, etc. So make use of your superior speed due to your excellent generals. Let's see, these guys have there improv expert, so 10% movement bonus on land, and well, I have an extra bonus here from my doctrines giving me another, where is it, 10% from this. So I am speedy as fuck, boy. How to clean up that pocket to the south, because that is looking nasty. By nasty I mean incredibly juicy. I'm gonna love that. Oh yeah, the Yugoslav army is vastly thinned out now. They are probably not gonna be able to do much against me here. Well, I'll drive my armor straight to Belgrade if I can. This is such a mess, and the best part is, there's very little the AI can do about this. It's just because we are so much faster than them. Well, that, and I have a brain instead of just the AI being the AI. Oh, one more thing that could be useful if you're struggling. The world tension has now reached 40%, and we are at war. That means I'm going to create a bit of a deficit in terms of equipment and talk to our friends Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan. They will send us Lend-Lease now because they are signature members of the Sadabat Pact. And since these countries don't have much to use their equipment on, they're usually sitting on a nice stockpile of infantry equipment. Sometimes you might even get some support equipment or even artillery out of them. Though no guarantees there. So there, that's a nice amount of guns, don't you say? Very nice. One thing I did forget is to ramp up to service by requirement. So you want to do that as soon as you can. I was a bit of an idiot and I forgot, and now the AI isn't as strong as they have to be. So the instant you declare war, you want to hit service by requirement to get your manpower up. We need a lot of manpower in the field for what's coming next, and I may have just fucked myself with this. Yeah. Oh well. We can still recover. I can still fix this. It's just, you want to hit service by requirement the instant you declare war. I didn't. I'm an idiot, so there's that. Ironic that I fucked myself with excellent pockets. If I had destroyed those units, I could still go up to extensive conscription. Poland refuses German ultimatum. Learning from the Great War is done. Let's modernize the army some more. World War II's kicked off, but we're almost done in Yugoslavia anyway. Shouldn't matter. It is now just a matter of taking a few more victory points and this is over. Actually, that said, I want to try something. If I delete my units, I'm about to take their victory points anyway. If I delete my units before I take their final victory points, is that gonna work? Okay, I'm gonna assign divisions to hold individual victory points. I am going to meme this as much as I can, and then I'm going to start destroying a couple of units. Now, you don't do this. Just don't do this when you're playing this, all right? Just let me reiterate, do not do this. Just do it right the first time. But since I'm an idiot, might as well try and get rid of some units and see if that actually brings the strength close enough to where I can ramp up conscription laws. Enemy have to be 60% of our strength. What are they at? They've got 12 divisions, maybe? So if I delete a few more of these divisions, should be able to ramp up our conscription laws. A few more divisions. Oh, I feel like an idiot doing this. I really do. No, still nothing. Now, there we go. Surface by requirement. There. That wasn't so hard. Now, was it? Only had to delete way too much of my army to get it. Next victory point, it's over anyway. They've got nothing left. Oh, there we go. Yugoslavia has capitulated. Great. Alright, just take all states here. Don't bother with any fancy puppeting. Just take all states and be done with it. There. Perfect. Alright, that is stage 2 of our Ottoman campaign. What is next? Well, first off, we are going to take out Hungary, because why not? They're free real estate. Second, we are going to move divisions to China, join the Chinese United Front, and help China defeat Japan. But not just that. We are going to take over the Chinese United Front. To do that, we'll need a lot of manpower deployed. I think it's over 1 million manpower, so we'll be churning out a great amount of infantry divisions while we're doing that. And that's also where our navy comes in. We have a lot of submarines, and by the time we hit Japan, we'll have a lot more. So we should be able to quickly hop across this one sea zone, provided China doesn't lose it. Can always use Hong Kong if not, and quickly capitulate them using our infantry and our armor. They will be very committed to the mainland, usually. The plan for taking over the Chinese United Front is twofold. One, it will allow us a free reign in the peace deal regarding Japan, so China won't take any of this stuff, which would suck. And two, it gives us a faction, and we need a faction to bypass this broken focus that creates a faction called the Salabat Concordat and invites Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran to our faction. However, this focus is broken since it first sends out the invite and then creates the faction, meaning there's no faction for these countries to be invited to, so it doesn't fire, it doesn't work, and you get stuck here. Brilliant. And the only way around that is by having your own faction to already invite those countries into. So that's exactly what we're gonna do once we join the Chinese United Front. But first things first, Hungary and massive recruitment. Let's see if we can align Bulgaria. Like I said, it's a coin flip. We cannot influence the outcome in any way, so whatever happens, happens. If we get Bulgaria, great, that's perfect. If it doesn't, well, we'll have to blitz Bulgaria when the time comes. Now, regarding Hungary, I should probably have started my justification earlier, as soon as they turned fascist, but I didn't want to risk drawing out the war in Yugoslavia and missing the war goal. So if you feel confident when fighting Yugoslavia, you could probably start justifying much earlier and speed this process up by a lot. It is what it is though, so in about 50 days, we'll still kick their teeth in. I shouldn't join the Axis before then. Hey, Bulgaria submits. That's great. That's great. It's irrelevant in the long run, but it's great. Onwards and upwards. We could reclaim the fallen empire, have some good decisions, or we do the Damascus Diktat, ask France for our stuff back. Doesn't really matter. I'll go and reclaim the fallen empire. So one more thing. We have the option here to alter the royal laws of succession. This is actually rather important if you're playing the Ottoman Empire, because in about 1941 or 1942, the Sultan will die of old age. This man is old after all. And if we do not click that decision, his son will take the throne, and he's not as good. If we do click this decision, our daughter will take the throne, and she has god tier stats. So you want to click that, but alter those laws, boys. Women on top. Oh, there goes France. Bye, France. Got 2 armies lined up on Hungary's border, so we should be able to take them out as soon as that war goal pops. There we go. War goal is finished. They have no allies. Nobody's gonna stick up for them. Just declare war. Slow the game speed down a little bit and punch a hole straight for Budapest. We just need about 2 of the victory points and we should be fine. And of course, if we jack up our deficit enough, we can ask for Lend-Lease again from our loyal friends here. This is really something you want to be exploiting as much as you can. Turkey does not have a powerful industry at this point in the game, and it probably won't for quite a while. So every gun you don't have to make, that's just a victory. Look at that. Bunch of free guns. Yep, our armor should be able to punch a hole clean through the Budapest, and from there either go to Debrecen or take Pécs down there. Yeah, there we go. Bunch of guns. Hungary always hoards a bunch of guns. And I think we'll just puppet Hungary. There. Nice Hungarian puppet to cover our north flank. Now, on to the main event. We are going to redeploy our army to China. Let's ask if we can join their faction, which of course they will be all too happy to allow us. Then we ship the army across. I just hope I can actually get my troops there on time. And the armor obviously has to go there as well. Let's not send too many divisions over. It's going to put a great strain on our supply lines. Also, don't join the war just yet. We have things to do first. Alright, we've reclaimed the fallen empire. We can take a gamble with the Damascus Diktat, see if Vichy France is willing to sign over their stuff. It's not important what happens with it. It will be cool if they did. If they don't, that's fine. Doesn't matter. We will set all of our navy to naval invasion support. Hopefully that's going to be enough to sneak past the Imperial Japanese Navy. If it's not, we might actually have to fight our way through to Korea and all the way to the tip here in Busan and hop across there. We'll see. We'll see. Now we just have to wait for the army to arrive. Because, oh boy, they've got a long way to go. I'm also going to get this better naval invasion tech, landing craft, to take on the UK primarily, but if this takes too long, we might actually have some use for it against Japan. If not, it's nice to have when we fight the UK. Well, the Vichy French said no. It's fine, doesn't matter. Damascus Diktat. Okay, let's go on to support the East, get ourselves some infrastructure, or we could refine our strategies, get ourselves some doctrine boosts. It doesn't really matter. Choice is yours. We could actually just go up here and get mechanizing our army and pick up some support boosts. That looks like a better deal. Meanwhile, let's set all these invasions to go. The Navy on invasion support. Dear God, I hope this works. Oh God, they're guarding Nagasaki. But if I can land next to it, we should be able to get some good supporting attacks in. It's not too many there. No, just the 1 unit. Oh, let's pause that. Right. Need to quickly pause this. Focuses. Where shall we go with the focuses? Well, we're not going to expand the Sadabat Pact yet. We need to take over the Chinese United Front first, so let's support the East. Get ourselves some infrastructure in the area. It's fine. Right, the tanks will support the attack on the port. Kokura, you will get across there. You guys will head across there. And you guys clean up this area. Should be able to take Nagasaki this way. Look at that. Japan getting encircled on the home islands. Sucks to be you, Japan. Sucks to be you. Let's not capitulate them just yet, though. Don't want to overdo it. But I do want to close this pocket. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's get rid of this. Anyway, we have 200 political power. Let's talk to China. I don't think China should be in charge anymore. Take over faction. We need a bit more manpower in the field. That's just a matter of pressing this button. Ah, there we go. We can now take over the Chinese United Front. Thank you. Ah. Glorious. Now, the best part about this is, 1, China can no longer interfere in our peace deal with Japan, so they can't take any of that territory. They can take their own stuff back, sure, but not Japanese occupied territory, or rather, territory of Japan that we are occupying. Plus, we can now move on and get this focus to work. We can actually expand the Sadabat Pact now. Anyway, it's been long enough. Let's give Japan the coup de grace. And there goes Japan. Alright, gonna pass a few times. Don't worry, the Chinese can't take anything anyway. Now for Japan, simply puppet them. Pass a few times, a few more times. Just keep passing, and just give everything back to Japan. There. End the peace deal. So we got a nice chunky China. Bit of an annoying communist China. They're gonna do stuff. They're up to no good, but more on that later. And we have a thick Japanese puppet, and we are going to be building lots and lots of military factories in that Japanese puppet. Why? Well, because we want to get their autonomy down as quickly as we can and steal their fleet. While we're here, it appears that the Iraqis want in on our faction, sure. The Iranians also want in on our faction, sure. So that's 2 out of 3. And Afghanistan should be invited via focus anyway. Alright, so far so good. Now we force Japanese autonomy down until we can annex them and take their fleet. We'll see about Communist China. They usually leave the Chinese United Front and start stuff in the area. So we'll see how we deal with that. But we are well on track. Without Japan attacking the USA will not join the Allies. That gives us more time for a little bit of a sea lion of our own. And while we're waiting for Japan to integrate so we can steal their juicy fleet, there's a few more things in the area that we can watch out for. For one, the communists. They tend to not stick around in the Chinese United Front once the war with Japan is won. So they'll go their own way. They'll pick up a guarantee from the Soviet Union. That's fine. We just need to keep an eye on them. Eventually, they'll start their own little faction. I think it's this one. The Mutual Assistance Bloc is what they'll get, and should be able to snap them up right after that. Xinjiang also goes their own way. They tend to join the Comintern. That's not really a problem. They can do that. It's fine. And the only reason we're going to be fighting Communist China is to prevent shenanigans in this region. The Communists tend to go to war with the nationalists over who gets to call themselves China, and I really don't want to deal with it, so I'm just gonna try and take the Communists out as quickly as possible. Well, there we go. The Communists have left the faction, as expected. It's fine. And there goes Xinjiang. As expected, they joined the Comintern. Absolutely no problem. We'll never fight the Comintern anyway. There we go. Mao has created the Mutual Assistance Bloc, and he's no longer guaranteed by the Soviet Union, which means we are going to gobble him up, or at least try. So I'm going to justify a war goal on him and invade. This is some god-awful terrain to fight through, so we'll see how that goes.
A few inches later.
Oh, that's Mao dealt with. So yeah, for me, that was a lot more trouble than it's worth. Armor is useless in mountains. If you're playing infantry, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. If you want to play tanks, I recommend actually just ignoring China. Just let Mao do whatever he wants in the region and ignore it. We're done here. We don't need to be here anymore. We'll get everyone back home, first of all. We're still recruiting, mostly armor, since I don't need that much infantry for now. I probably recruit some. I have decent stockpiles, though, yeah, support equipment's a bit on the low side. Anyway, so I'm recruiting tanks. Just need to wait until I can get my hands on the Japanese Navy. Shouldn't be too much longer. I can still send them a bunch of convoys. That should help, as well as equipment lend-leases. And once we have the Japanese Navy, we can get ready to strike at the UK. Easiest way to get to the UK will be through Germany. So once we are fighting the UK, the Germans should have no issue giving us military access. At any rate, we're working on the red apples of Sèvres. So with this war goal, we can declare on the United Kingdom, take the Allies out, and then prepare for the Axis. Now, we're in a bit of an anomaly in that the Soviets are actually doing quite well against the Axis, and I dearly hope that they don't overrun the Axis, because then everything goes out of the window and I'll have to fight the Soviets as well. Oh dear God, March of 1942, where we can finally integrate Japan. If you can find a quicker way to do it by sending them more stuff, building more buildings in their lands, do it. Just speed this process up as much as you can. I just didn't have the convoys to really hurry things along, but it's finally here. Oh, look at that. That is one of those required capitals under our control, Tokyo, and of course the massive Imperial Navy is at our command. Let's get ready to take out the UK now. And we can hurry things along by simply declaring war on the Allies already. We don't need to call in our puppets, so don't bother. Don't call in your puppets. They just get naval invaded anyway. Let's see if they'll allow us military access. Perfect. And we'll use that military access to set up a few things. Naval invasions of the United Kingdom. And of course, we'll get our fleet into position as well. Good place to strike from is usually the port around Hamburg. Use this as a stepping point to launch our invasion into the UK. Alright, the Japanese Navy, or rather Ottoman Navy, has finally arrived. Set them up for naval invasion support, Eastern North Sea and the North Sea, and set our naval invasions to go. Let's hit the UK where it hurts and finish this off once and for all. Meanwhile, this is getting cleaned up nicely, so that's one less problem to worry about. Don't forget that the UK likes naval invasions. That might end up going poorly for you. Alright, we're hitting them all along the shore. I don't see a lot of opposition here, so it should be relatively easy to clean all of this up. Though speed will once again be of the essence. And with some speedy maneuvering, we've managed to fully encircle the British capital. So that was a lot easier than I expected it to be. They are probably really overcommitted to other fronts. Though I wonder which those would be. I don't see any troops anywhere. Maybe here. It's the only thing that makes sense. So yeah, let's exploit that and, well, clean up. And that's London taken. Peace deal anytime now. And the game's lagging. Lagging like crazy. Come on. Ah, there we go. Peace deal at last. Excellent. Let's see what everyone's done. Oh boy, they've taken a lot of land here. A whole lot of land. A whole lot of puppets too. Well, I could still take London here. I could puppet the UK and steal the Royal Navy, but I don't have to. I already have the Japanese Navy. That's enough to last me a lifetime. I don't need the Royal Navy, so I'm just going to take London and be done with it. And that's it. I would have liked to take more, but unfortunately, we took a very long time getting involved in the fight. As a result, we weren't able to really build up any participation. We got something out of it at least. I would have liked to have more, but it is what it is. We can move on. So I have no idea what just happened in France, but this is disgusting. God, they allowed Italy to get too much participation. Italy got more participation than Germany because of Africa, and now it's all disgusting. Oh no, the new Mughal Empire, Italian Raj, the state of Burma. Oh no, and all of these little French states, Basconia, Aquitaine. Oh, the AI always creates monstrosities. Oh well. And with Tokyo and London now under our control, we are halfway there. But that was the easy part. Now we need to fight the Axis. Fortunately, we don't need to capitulate the Axis. We just need to take Paris and Rome. And how to proceed will depend on earlier peace deals. With a little luck, you might even be able to secure the Suez or Gibraltar if you've had a favorable peace deal with the Allies. We, however, did not. All we managed to score was the London area, which isn't terrible, but it's not exactly great either. So how are we going to proceed? First of all, we need to push the Italians out of the Balkans as quickly as possible and secure these coastlines. Don't forget about the Dodecanese Islands. We can pretty much forget about Syria, unless you see some nice opportunities for advancement. You don't really need this area. To the north here, I recommend building a little bit of a fort line to hold the Germans at the narrowest point. This is going to be a slaughter. The Germans are going to come at you hard and they're going to come at you fast. This is going to hurt. So put at least 2 armies to the north here to defend. Once we've cleaned up the Balkans, we are going to send the naval invasion across to try and take Rome. Ideally, we might even be able to capitulate the Italians, though no guarantees there. Italy at this point usually has a lot of divisions, and if they're not distracted fighting in Africa, they might actually bring all of those home, and it could be difficult. But we should be able to take Rome if we use our fast units, and preferably at the same time, we can launch a naval invasion from London, again, using fast units like our armor, and land near Dieppe and Le Havre to push towards Paris. But we first need to get everything into position, which means getting the navy to where it needs to go. Once we declare on Italy, the Mediterranean will be locked down, so we need to detach a squadron to our British front. We need to get tanks to the British front as well, so we can deploy them there. And we need a few more divisions to help hold this northern front, because we are going to get slaughtered. And in late 1942, we also get this event. This is why we changed the royal laws of succession. Long live the new Sultana. Our new country leader is now a woman, and she has excellent stats. This event's also a good time to take stock of the situation and see if it's time to strike. We've built up our forces about as far as we're going to get them. I've managed to get 1640 with armor divisions in position, 8 for the Balkan front and Italy, and 8 for the United Kingdom, or rather Britain, and the naval invasion towards Paris. We have reinforced the north with 2 armies. Fortunately for us, the Romanian front is still not open. The Soviet Union is holding, but I don't know for how much longer. It should help when we ease the pressure by drawing the Axis into a fight with us. So this is going to be spicy. Let's go. I'm also going to prepare some collaboration governments against the Italians, though. They are annoying to deal with, and I don't want that mess. Let's see if we can win this. Also, don't forget, don't pull your puppets in. They are excellent at keeping the front nice and narrow. That way you don't have to deal with massive front lines. As for China, it doesn't hurt to get them involved. They might do a good job of distracting the enemy a little. Alright, let's see if this actually works. Well, at least dislodging the Germans from the UK seems fairly easy. The front line to the north is holding. Those fort lines are really helping us. Balkans are almost cleaned up as well. This is going relatively well so far. I'm actually going to redeploy some troops to this front, just in case. You never know. At least this way troops will be in position. I can get this army ready. These two armies are going to be invading Italy. I can use these units to just garrison the ports, just so there's no unexpected nasty naval invasions coming my way. Romania is getting larger again. Might be a problem in the future. And if you're wondering why I'm sitting on these free dockyards and free military factories, we are short a lot of steel. Trade is incredibly difficult with the Mediterranean cut off, and I don't want to divert resources to breaking open the Suez or Gibraltar until I've taken care of Italy. And since I'm just going for the achievement, I am just going to hit Italy and Paris, and that's going to be it for me. In your case, if you want to continue this run, it is vital that you break out of the Mediterranean. Otherwise, you are going to be suffering quite badly. Alright, I think it's time we took the fight to Italy. Let's get our naval invasion going here. We'll hit them as hard as we can, try and cut their country in half, and definitely capture Rome. And if we find the opportunity, we might actually be able to get them capitulated, though no guarantees there. We'll see what happens. Once we control Rome and have a good foothold in Italy, we'll launch our naval strike towards Paris, and we can be done with this. Alright, we now have Rome under our control. Do we control the state of Latium? Yes, we control Rome. Now, to make sure, I'm also going to clean up the rest of Italy before I launch my naval invasion of France. It's not going to be much longer. I can dig into the north here. Just want to clean up these pockets. You know what's also fun? How the AI cheats at supply. I've got, what, 10, 15, 17 divisions surrounded on a mountain tile with no victory point there, so no supply. And they are taking exactly 0% attrition. Well, at least the front is holding in other places. Northern Balkans are fine. Northern Italy's fine because, well, Italy's a bit distracted, I believe. I am worried about the Romanian part though, but we should be done before the Romanians manage to push this far, or rather the Axis managed to push this far. We are dominant in Syria. Italy pulled a lot of divisions away from Syria, so we should be able to make a nice push here. Not that it matters for the achievement. And China is going to town in the southeast of Asia. So pretty good overall. This is definitely a winnable campaign. It's just going to take so long. I don't have the mental fortitude to continue, but while we're here, I'm still having fun. Anyway, let's launch this suicidal naval invasion and take Paris and get ourselves an achievement. The reason I'm using armor for this is that despite they being really weak for naval invasions, they are very fast and can punch through, so we can rush to Paris. Alright, the armor has landed. Now we just make a beeline for Paris and get this over with. And with that, the Ottoman Empire controls Paris. So, we now control Paris, London, Rome, and even far, far away Tokyo. And with that, the Treaty of Sèvres has been avenged, and the achievement Hardly Anything Sèvres is complete. So even if you don't feel up to the task of completely defeating the Axis, you should be able to at least get the achievement with a few precision strikes. And like I said, this is definitely a winnable campaign if you have the time. And once again, I want to thank Spaniard for his excellent work in theory crafting this strategy out. He's one of the best players that this game I've ever seen. He has some really big brain strats. Anyway, if you like this video, leave a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload more content. If you didn't like it, that's fine. Just hit that dislike button and tell me what I did wrong in the comments. Always looking to learn. And if you want to support the channel, consider checking out the YouTube memberships. It really helps out with allowing me to do what I do here. So click that join button down there next to the sub button. Anyway, this has been me, Bitter Steel. Catch you in the next one. Goodbye.